Welcome everyone to week number 3 in Science 200. This week is all about finding scientific sources to support and also give you information about your particular topic. And we're going to learn a lot about how this process works and what you should be looking for. So last week you learned all about Dr. John Snow and how he investigated the outbreak of cholera in urban London in the 1800s, and how he connected those cases of this horrible diarrheal disease, cholera, to contaminated water sources in the form of wells that were contaminated by sewage from the River Thames. And what was so important about this was that he showed that miasma was not the cause of these diseases, these cases of disease. In fact, it was contaminated water, and he showed that by his extensive data that he collected over time. Now, this is terribly important for science because science is based on data. Science is not based on opinions. I will tell you that right now. And if you give me more data and it changes what I understand about a subject, then I need to change my thinking. That is totally unheard of these days, but that is what you have to do in science. Okay, this week you're going to learn how to use scientific sources. You're going to learn how to read the sections of a scientific paper, and I'm going to take you through those in just a second with this example. Now give me a second to pull this up because I have to open a hyperlink. I don't know why I can't figure this out any better. So anyway, there it comes. Okay, oops, better scroll back down. I'm coming to the top. Sorry about that. So virus-like particle candidate vaccine for COVID. All right, so what's the problem here? Yes, we understand COVID now. Yes, we have vaccines. What's the problem? The problem is that the virus is mutating as it moves through the population, as many viruses do, and that makes the current vaccines less effective. And so we've got to figure out ways to make new vaccines quickly and in response to the particular virus that is out there in the world. And here is an article about that. Now, this is an article, this is a full text article that I pulled up from the Shapiro Library. That's very important because a lot of the time when you're doing other searches out there, you cannot get access to full text articles, only maybe the abstract, sometimes even only a few sentences of the abstract. So this is your advantage to use in the Shapiro Library because there are so many full text articles there that you don't have to pay for. That's the whole thing. Okay, what I want you to also look at is over here. There's basically a table of contents in this particular journal, which is awesome because then you can go directly to a section. So of course that's the title, right? Okay, look at other parts of here. Abstract, keywords, introduction, methods and materials, results, discussion, funding, data, references, etc. Okay? So that shows you some of the parts of this article. The most important part, I'm going to click on it, is the abstract. And there's my face right over the abstract. There you go. The abstract. Why is the abstract so important? Because it is a summary of everything that is in this article. It tells you the background information about why this topic is important. It tells you the question that the researchers are asking. It tells you how they went about answering the question. It tells you what results they got from their experimentation. It tells you what these results mean, and it tells you what they expect in the future and what they want to keep examining into the future, or they think other scientists too should take a look at in the future. That's the abstract. So it basically tells you everything that's in the journal article. It is terribly important for you to look at. If you don't look at anything else in a journal article, read the abstract. It specifically is important to let you know whether this is relevant information. So you're going to be looking at for credible sources, which I'll get to in a minute, and relevant. So relevant means it's got to help you answer your question, right? It's got to have something to do with your subject. The abstract will tell you that. So always look at the abstract. All right, let's take a look at a couple of the other sections. So introduction is right here. Now, introduction is a good section to look at too, because it gives you all the background information about this topic. It tells you what the researchers have found in the literature about this topic before they even start with their experimentation. It also will tell you what their question is and how they expect to go about answering that. So if you look right here, you see all the references in here. Yeah, lots and lots of references. If you find one good journal article, you actually are going to find lots of good journal articles because you can look at the references that this particular group of scientists have found and used. So the introduction is good. Methods and materials. The materials are never, ever, ever listed. They are included in the methods. So how they did the experiments is included in materials and methods section. Everything from the cells and the viruses that they used to the gene editing system to how they constructed the vaccine to how they identified the viral proteins, etc., etc. Okay, that's materials and methods. Eli spot, that's another type of technique for analysis of their results. Results, oh my goodness, this section is huge in this article. And so what do you see here? Well, you get the results of what their experiments were. And you'll see diagrams showing you how they modified the viral RNA to give particular proteins that they want to expose the human body to. They give cells, and the lit up parts are where viral proteins are lit up, or viruses. I have to read that to see. Results, and they're analyzed statistically. You see that in the p-values and all this, right? Results. Your discussion section tells you what all these results mean. They interpret their results. They tell you what the results mean. And if there's not a conclusion section, because there usually isn't, at the end of the discussion, they will tell you what further research needs to be carried out. Okay? So very important. And another thing, let's see, declaration of competing interest. Yeah, that's kind of important because you need to know where these authors got their funding from. Because if a vaccine producing company, biotech company, is funding this research, you better believe that the scientists are going to think twice about publishing anything that's anti that vaccine, right? Because they aren't going to get funded any longer and won't be able to publish this work. Okay, so that's how to read a scientific journal article. All right, let me move my face and let me move my slide. So you are looking for credible, relevant sources. I already talked about relevance. You got to find sources that are going to help you answer your questions, right? Yeah. That have something to do with your topic. It can't just be gibberish out there. All right, credible. So this has to be from people who do this research, who are not biased in their viewpoint. And that's what I was saying about funding. So funding is terribly important because if a company is funding this research, then they expect to get a certain result. If the funding is through the National Institutes of Health, for example, the federal government, then you can expect this to be unbiased results because there's nobody paying to get a particular result. That's credibility. You have to look at especially the principal authors' background and degree and where they're located and, the university where they're at and all that sort of thing. to ensure that you have a credible source. This week, you're going to find 3 good sources on your topic, and you're going to evaluate those. We're going to run into some plagiarism issues as we go along. Make sure you give credit to any source where you use the information. Even if you have completely written it in your own words, but you got the information from a source, make sure you give that source credit. And when you don't, that is called plagiarism, whether you copied it word for word or whether you just got the idea from there. You have discussion board posts this week. So what was the biggest challenge in you finding good sources and you analyzing good scientific sources, and how did you overcome this? Use examples. That's very important. Now, the first thing that you've got to say when you're looking at scientific journal articles is that the jargon is something out of this world. Like, you don't understand every other word, right? You have to sit with a dictionary, with even Google, to figure out what the terminology means if that is not your field. So jargon is number 1 on the list. And that's true for me too. If it's not my field, then I don't know all that jargon either. Genetics has its own language in the field of biology. So you're going to have some big challenges. What are they? How did you overcome them? And use examples. Use at least 2 to explain this in your discussion board post. And the reason that I put format on here is that each one of these sections needs to be a paragraph. It's not just one sentence, right? You're explaining this. You're describing it. You're not just listing stuff that you found, right? Your 2 response posts. Compare your challenges to that person's challenge or challenges. Were they the same? Were they different? How did you overcome yours compared to theirs? Do you have any tips about analyzing this type of source? Because you might have a tip that I haven't even thought of yet. So please do share those tips too. That's your discussion board postings. And then use what you learned in your textbook to answer the discussion board post, right? That's what that chapter is about. Follow the directions for completing your assignments. It'll tell, the guidelines will tell you how many pages, what's the format, whether you're making slides or a Word document or, whatever it is. So follow the guidelines. Wait a minute, there was something else I was going to tell you. Oh, and I will put this in the announcements. There are 3 good places where you can find scientific sources that are good. The Shapiro Library, excellent. Google Scholar. Google Scholar, not Google. Heaven help you if you use Google. You are going to get some stuff. You talk about not credible. Yeah, you'll get a whole lot of stuff that you don't even want to know about. So Google Scholar and PubMed, P-U-B, pub, publish. PubMed, P-U-B-M-E-D, PubMed. That's another good database that you can use to search for scientific journal articles. And I will put these in the announcement itself so that you can click right on them and go there. And if you want to test it out, just for funsies, type my name in. See if anything comes up. Yep. So if you are having any trouble this week, if anything is going on that I need to know about, please let me know. All you have to do is email me, m.sigmon@snhu.edu, and I will be glad to help you. With that being said, I hope that you have a wonderful week number 3 this week.